Do you want? Have you got a glass? Have you got a glass? Oh, okay, man. Okay, so I am not Tom Gardiner. I'm Mark Moloney. I'm like doing 10 minutes to make sure that you like don't completely not respond at all. So I'll just be chatting to you for a little bit. So I was actually very paranoid. I was very worried that I wouldn't make it here this evening. I was very worried that I wouldn't make it here this evening. I was running late because I got held up in a bit of a crime scene this afternoon. My bag was stolen from me. But everything was sorted out with great haste. It was all sorted out very quickly. And my bag was retrieved. The police were very active, very quick. It was a briefcase. Yes, we're into it.
You're off, mate. You're off.
We're off.
We're fully supportive of that.
Okay. So, any vegans in the audience? Cool. It's not like an attack. I'm not trying to come.
He's just shy.
Yeah, he's trying.
Yeah,
I have much respect for vegans. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I think it's a great thing for the environment. I'm trying my best to reduce my intake of meat. I'm doing my best to reduce my intake of meat and dairy products. I've been trying to find a milk substitute, even though my mother says she doesn't mind. No harm, no foul, you know. But you know, if you butter the top of your baby's head, it like really helps when you drop it. It'll only fall butter side up, so it's fine. Like it doesn't really hurt it in the long term. Sometimes I get like lucky likeys. People think I look like a celebrity. Any guesses? I get Vin Diesel quite a lot. Kind of like fucking jacked. I'm a huge fan of Vin Diesel. I'm really looking forward to, in like 50 years' time, when we have Fast and Furious 69. Now we're sucking diesel. I got caught in the rain, so a lot of my notes are kind of like washed away. I quite like women. Any women in the audience? Oh, whoa, crazy! I didn't see you guys. I quite like women. Actually, like almost to a suspicious extent. My girlfriend, my boyfriend gets quite mad at me because I keep calling her my boyfriend. But I actually have like a controversial opinion. I think God is a woman. Because she won't talk to me. So it's summer. It's quite nice. Obviously, we're not dealing with the best weather, but in the summer, I quite like to indulge in ice cream. I feel like I like ice cream, but not to the same extent as many others, because I don't really understand why everyone else seems to have the need for Magnum condoms. I don't like ice cream that much. Do you have Magnums in Australia, like the ice cream?
Yes, we do.
Well, I don't know. Not from Australia.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Oh, shit, really? Sorry, I get that. I don't have it. I have like very little anti-Australia material, but no pro New Zealand. I've also
You can do all the anti-Australians.
Yeah, we'll support
I don't have any. I'll like fuck Australia. It's pretty good. Is it? Any big fans of Gwen Stefani? No.
No doubt.
Like. So I don't know if you heard about when Gwen Stefani did a gig in Stockholm recently. No. She had a flag, a national flag, thrown on stage, and she draped it around her shoulders. And it was a Swedish cape, which is illegal. It's a joke. So Gwen Stefani has a song called "Sweet Escape." If you say Swedish cape, it sounds kind of like Sweet Escape. It's kind of close. Like it's not the exact same. It's close enough, I think. think, to make it like a wordplay thing. What a fun setting. I quite like films. I've been trying to rewrite a lot of films because I feel like I could do a better job, you know? One example of which is The Matrix. I've not seen it, but I feel like I could give it a better bash, you know? I've rewritten a version which is actually generally entirely the same. But at the very beginning, Neo takes the blue pill and has an erection for 2 hours. Is Tom down there? Tom, I'm probably going to finish up after this next one, man. So if you want to, like, just brace yourself and come up in, like, a minute or two. Is he on his way? Well, like, tell him to take it easy, but... Okay. We'll do one more, guys, and then I'll leave. And this weird experience can end. So, let's do the last one. I have a lot of dreams, a lot of aspirations in my life, a lot of life goals that I'm trying to get accomplished, right? But for a long time, I had no idea really what I wanted to do. I had no real direction in life. I had no goals, no dreams. So what I was really trying to do is seek inspiration and seek guidance in my real dreams. So when I was like a 13 or 14-year-old like man, I was really seeking guidance. So I figured for a long time I wanted to be a champion water polo player. Not that I play or even respect the sport. I just kept having wet dreams about horses. And I guess like Tom will come out and do his thing now. And I'll sit down somewhere.
American women come to St Andrews looking to find themselves a prince. They're knight in shining armour, if you will. I'm right here, ladies. Do you all remember being made to rub your stomach and pat your head as kids? Yeah. I don't think that skill has any uses, except for rubbing the clitoris while fingering. I've started thinking that all childhood games are invented to prepare us for the realities of conjugation. Ladies, I bet you've all slept with a hide-and-seek champion, because after 30 seconds he might as well have shouted, "Ready or not, here I come!" You know. Don't even get me started on Twister. It's Kama Sutra for beginners. When I was a little boy, my grandfather sat me down and said, "Right, Tom, in life, start as you mean to go on. And if it doesn't work, try turning it off and turn it back on again." We had a comedy pub quiz, and one of the questions was, in which year did the Challenger space shuttle blow up? 4th year, but it was direct re-entry. Very academic jokes, just testing the crowd. Are we good for more puns? Can we handle those? Yes. I go hiking quite a lot. You know, I don't mean to brag, but I'm actually a pretty big deal in the mountaineering community. I guess you could say I'm a Tommy Hilfiger. One more. I used to date a girl who does parkour, but now she's more of a Rolex. Don't worry, I don't have the time for any more puns about watch manufacturers. No. Right now the puns are over. A little introduction. I'm Tom Gardiner, St Andrews' most ketogenic man and Vice President of the Comedy Society. I'm an undergraduate chemist, and hence it is absolutely fantastic that my name is an anagram of Atom Grinder. You might be thinking, 2 chemists doing a show called Atom Grinder, that's kind of funny. Well, gets so much better. Could someone tell me what unit chemists use which shares a name with certain underground rodents and signs of skin cancer? Mole. The mole. What if I told you that Mark Moloney is an anagram of molar monkey? He hasn't heard this before, has he? Are you Nick Westwood's molar monkey?
I guess in a way, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You keep it in the office. Incidentally, my name is also an anagram of random tiger, mating order, and dreamt groin, which is what I am in bed, what I'm at the top of, and what I keep under these trousers, respectively. It's a real shame, though, that my name is spelt with the I, Gardiner, because if it was Gardiner, my name would be an anagram. of armoured gent. I've got all these written down somewhere, so grab me at the end if you want to check that these work. The last anagram I have for you today, though, is that comedy at the Rav is an anagram of they covet drama, and so you shall have it. Has everyone played Two Truths and a Lie? For those of you that haven't, I'm going to tell you 3 stories. 2 of them happened and 1 of them didn't. I'm going to get you all to vote on which the lie is. Right. Story number 1. Before I came to university, the most success I'd had with women was that a girl once told me I had nice legs on a bus. This, of course, meant that at the start of my first year, I went on what was the first date of my life. Since then, this town has started to feel a lot like Scott Pilgrim and his 7 evil exes, and instead of having vegan superpowers, they just stopped liking my travel posts on Instagram. You know, I'd love to find myself a good, honest statistics student that I could settle down with and commit to, but all they seem to be looking for is a causal relationship. That joke is much funnier written down. Causal, casual, anagrams are the truth, people. Nevertheless, my dating life had to start somewhere, and the way it did was with the single worst Netflix and chill date that doesn't involve Schindler's List. The plan was a meal at the beer kitchen, which, given the current name of the building we're all sat in, might have been an omen. Being keen, I dressed up in my finest suit and tie, as seemed proper to a good gentleman such as myself. Just before I set off, she texted me saying she didn't want a serious dinner date, and she was just going to come round in her pyjamas. Maybe I shouldn't have kept the tie on. The first thing she said to me was, change. And the first thing I said to her was, no. I was led further down the rabbit hole when she asked me to shut the door to my bedroom, and I said, oh, no, it'll be fine. She walked around me and shut it herself. Any of you that have had a Netflix and chill will know that it's a good idea to maybe have a film in mind beforehand. I didn't, so we started watching House. We stick it on, she sat at my desk, and in hindsight I had maybe 3 options. Number 1, I could sit next to her, I had another desk chair. 2, suggest we move to the bed. Or 3, stand awkwardly over her shoulder for almost half an hour, like a really shy waiter. Is this making you feel uncomfortable? It's supposed to. Eventually we did move to the bed and things got steadily worse. For the one time in my life, the crush of my dreams made a move on me. At the exact moment I got up to answer the door, she fell bodily into the space I had been moments before. Anyone who says that romance is dead is right. And when I realised that was when I offered to walk her home and she outright refused. Being the incomparable diplomat that I am, though, I negotiated to walk her halfway home. When we got closer to a flat, not with each other, she asked me if I was going to turn round. I said I needed to go to Tesco. For what? Orange juice. Do you have any money? No. It's 1:30 in the morning. Now this story would be incomplete without demonstrating the goodbye hug which came at the end, and I was going to ask a volunteer, but one of my ex-girlfriends has just walked in, so it's going to be you. Right, so imagine we're this far apart. Not her in this story, don't worry. Any fans of psychology and social sciences would see that this is an uncomfortably large distance. I had my hands in my pockets, hunched over, feeling very uncomfortable. I think I should maybe give her a hug as I shuffle forward, and she does the same, just a little bit. And then we keep going, and then rather than really hugging, the top of her head just kind of ends up in my shoulder, like that. I think this was the expression I was pulling at the time. That was very well done. Are you afraid of intimacy? Sorry, inside knowledge on that one. Story number 2 comes from a time in every boy's life when pressing shift 5 times wasn't the only way to get sticky keys. Some of the audience have got that one. I must have been about 15, so I was still young, naive, and vigorous. Now, I presume that most of you live with more than just your dad, and that there would be people roaming about your house at all times. And for this, I also presume you do not habitually tickle your pickle on your living room sofa, at least not while anyone else was in. Now, sound travels very well in Kevin's mansion, as my father Kevin likes to call it. And so to mask any sounds that were made, I put on Katy Perry's California Girls, which I admit served multiple purposes. All seemed quiet on the Western Front, but what I hadn't anticipated was that Katy Perry also masked the sound of my dad leaving his office until he was halfway down the stairs. I can tell you now, you've never felt so guilty about an orgasm as one triggered by knowing your dad's coming. When I heard him on the stairs, I knew the race to the toilet was on. I've got a few props for you today. I believe this was the pair of shorts around my ankles at the time. Oh, yeah. Crikey, I shouldn't have so many cocktails before. So apparently thick and creamy, so Aldi tell me. Quidditch, anyone? This is why Dobby has a sock. So, just to start off, sir, do you mind if I sit on your lap for a moment? Yeah, okay, cheers. So, are you sitting comfortably?
Yeah. Are you?
Yeah, I prefer if we're the other way round though. So, can someone give me a countdown, please? Just 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
And then just before I can dash inside, I hear the most Britishly terrifying surprise sentence. Oh, hi Tom. Hi Dad.
Upside down for you, too.
Guess it served as negative reinforcement though. Stopped wanking on the sofa after that. Jizzed in the porch instead. How are your potassium levels?
Perfect.
Okay, I'm just sit down there. Do you mind if I borrow that napkin? Thank you. So sorry. And the final fact about me is that I have never been inside Dervish, which for your benefit is a takeaway establishment. So, does anyone want to probe these stories? Any questions? No, you're all just going to accept that. Right, could we have... Oh,
On your dates in the first
Yeah.
were you wearing a helmet?
No, however, I have gone on a date wearing that with her.
Yeah.
And the rest of the armour.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe?
Where do you get your kebabs then?
I don't eat carbs. I don't hardly drink. Do you think I'm going on post-night out meals? Anyway, who thinks the date is the lie? No one. Who thinks the sofa is the lie? Gordian. Okay. Who thinks that I've been inside Dervish? Okay. The lie is that I have never been on that date. However, my best friend has. That's still all true. I'm not the sort of person to send risky text messages. I prefer my passive aggression to be 70s vintage. I send risky text letters. No, risky letters on my typewriter. Airmail is a wonderful thing. You can decimate your reputation anywhere in the world for £1.17. And the thing is with Facebook, you send it, it's done. You think, oh, that was a lot less mature than I convinced myself it would be, but it's over now. With transatlantic post, you've got to wait a week, 6 to 10 business days of... That was a shit idea, and you never actually know when it's there. As time goes on without a reply, you start coming up with more and more elaborate schemes as to why they haven't been home to check their mail. At first I'm thinking, not entirely sure that civilization has reached Arizona yet. The postman probably rides around on horseback. But then it's that they've been travelling for many months on some kind of soul-searching expedition. Tom, you sent that letter in like May. Kazakhstan's a big place! One winter break, I convinced a gorgeous girl to go for a drink with me when the new semester started. I'm glad I didn't get any applause on that one. That would have been a bit punishing. Now, I've been sending a lot of sincere letters about the time, just normal ones. And when I mentioned this to said girl, she was like, oh, I wish people sent me letters. So I got her address and sent her one. Now, I'm jealous of introverts, only I don't think they should be called that. I think they should be described as excitement resistant, because you don't do weird shit when you're bored, and if you do, at least there's no one around to see it. So because I was desperate for something exciting to happen in the social tundra of winter break, I took a paragraph at the end of this letter to say, yeah, you're very attractive. And just as I was expecting this would reach her, she mentions for the first time that she has a boyfriend. Agreed to go for a drink with me. Month of page-long paragraph conversations. Never occurred to me. I think a good analogy for how I felt would be to imagine you'd made real estate investments in Kandahar. One minute you think, oh, I'm going to make so much cash off of this. And then you see the helicopters coming and start to wonder which letting agency could find you decent tenants for your upmarket 3-bedroom furnished rubble. Turns out the answer's Town and Gown. Worse still, the man she's dating is a PhD chemist. He's better than me at my own subject. I'm a serious academic. I'll have you know my work has been published in a prestigious peer-reviewed chemistry meme page. I'd like to say I'm not bitter, but Germans use me as a formality when asking for things. Oh, come on, this is a cocktail bar. It is high class enough for me to make a modern foreign languages joke. Whether you've studied a language before or not, I'd wager you've spent some time comparing the perfect and imperfect future, and it probably made you quite tense. Thank you, that's the most intelligent joke I've ever written. Different note, I have really flat feet. I've got special shoes with curved soles that force me to stand on the middle of my foot, otherwise I keep rocking forwards or backwards. Sounds pretty dweeby, right? Yeah, I've ended a first kiss to explain all of that. If we'd have made out any longer, I think I'd have really fallen for her. So far, my attempts to go on the pull have resembled trying to catch an Abra in Pokemon Fire Red. This might be a bit below your age demographic, perhaps, but bear with me. So is that shots fired? Did you play Do you have a Game Boy? Okay. Anyway, I thought I'd demonstrate for you now how I dealt with trying to catch an Abra when I was a child. No! Coward! All you do is run away from commitment. You'd be much better off in my team. There I am, minding my own business through some long grass, and you come back and leave again. You know what you are? You're that girl who matches you on Bumble, says nothing, and the match expires. Whew. I'm going to cut this one a little short, as I understand there weren't so many Pokemon enthusiasts. Where are the nerds from St. Salvator's when you need them? At this point in the set, you might be wondering, why are you like this, Tom? What happened to you? Well, I grew up with a single father who was away a lot, so with regard to parental care, I had the weekly contact hours of a classics student. You might also be hoping that I'd be done with romance. Oh, sweet child, no. I was a guest speaker at the Debating Society for their comedic Valentine's debate. This house believes that love is a poison. I was in proposition that love is indeed a poison, and I'm going to recount my set for you now. I trust you understand that I have simply brought the script as I had in the event itself, and will simply read it off. Ethanol is a poison, quite literally. It greatly impedes brain function and decision making. It is an acquired taste, and as teenagers we struggle to handle even its weakest forms. Only with age do we come to appreciate and tolerate a stronger spirit. Years of repeated exposure will leave a body unfit and unhealthy, yet people go out every weekend in search of ethanol. It fills the world of advertisement in the hope of selling us things. Do all these things not also apply to love? You may protest that love brings great benefits, that it can in fact heal, and you would not be wrong, although quantity might be rather crucial. Take 10 packets of ibuprofen and tell me that it's not poisonous. While I don't subscribe to the philosophy that everything is good in moderation, I hope we can all agree that very little is good in gluttonous excess. I choose this painkiller as an example because while it makes a person feel better, it doesn't cure any ill. In my opinion, which I firmly believe is wise, one is ready for a loving relationship only when one can love oneself and has taken responsibility for one's own happiness. to be in a relationship without sustaining your own happiness, requiring it to be bestowed upon you by your partner, is a painkiller. As a chemist, when I'm asked if something is poisonous, I should want to look at the safety data sheet. Even if you're not asking me, there's someone I've pulled in 601 who ought to have had some kind of risk assessment. My lips bled and I was half convinced I'd become asexual. Asexual the next morning, my apologies. This was the same girl that asked me to take her virginity in the daffodils going down the path into North Hall. What would this data sheet say for love? At the very least, I expect acute toxicity, oral brackets category 4, hazard code 302 to be on there. Such data sheets provide precautionary measures and first aid advice. Here are some examples taken from a compound I used recently that might pertain to love. In case of eye contact, flush eyes with water. If swallowed, do not induce vomiting. Never give anything by mouth to an unconscious person. Conditions to avoid: heat, flames, sparks. Any toxic chemical is reported to have a short-term and long-term exposure limit. How much love is unsafe in the short and long term? A boy from my class in school, now a man, has recently been sentenced to 6 years in prison for setting fire to his ex-girlfriend's wheelie bin and pushing it up against her door, not once but twice. Clearly he doesn't understand the dentist system. No Always Sunny fans in the room. That's a shame. A couple. Okay. A reference, I apologise. We might still go out seeking it every weekend, much as with ethanol, and quite remarkably, if you were to go to the union on a particular Wednesday each month, you could probably buy love for the price of one tableau, as I believe Andrew has. Right now, that's over. I conclude this argument only to begin one I find far more compelling, which is that love is a poisson, a fish, and quite French. There is surely a reason that people have coined the term a Frenchie after all. Do people in love flounder and writhe when taken out of their natural habitat? You should see me on a Tinder date. You want to back that one up?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is love moist? For everyone's sake, I should hope so. There are phishing scams online which try to sell you things to impress the woman you love. You'll never need the blue pill again. The Matrix would have been a very different film. And I must insist that fish is in fact a byword for love. Because, my friend, if you tell me of your heartbreak, I shall tell you that there's plenty more love in the sea. I had my appendix taken out recently. Supervisor wasn't happy with the references. Are there any biologists in the room? Medics, perhaps? Yeah. If you steal a petri dish from your colleague, is that cultural appropriation? I was doing some acid-base chemistry in the lab recently. I asked my partner, what's that white powder? Am I going to get a hydroxide burn? He was like, oh, no, it'll be fine. Turns out that was a lie. There are about 2 people in this room who got that joke, who study chemistry. Hydroxide powder's a cold lie. God, you're all plebs. Now, I know that we started this show late, and so I will wrap up a bit earlier than expected for you all. I do apologise. I'll round off by explaining why it is that perhaps I am so comfortable telling a room full of people I hardly know about unusual stories of masturbation and similar topics. I was made to have my first wank in a tent on a Boy Scout trip. Yes, you are allowed to laugh, it is funny. I was 12, my patrol leader was called Martin. He says to us all, have any of you wanked before? Well, no. Right, everyone get boners. I'm going to teach you. If we put the emotional stuff just to one side for a moment, the worst bit was that he was a bad instructor. I spent the next 9 months doing it like this with one finger. Anyway, I'll let you all go to bed or whatever it is you're doing. That's the end of the show. I, of course, have to thank the Rav and this man here for helping to organise this event.
Thank you.
Yes, he's called Borger. Yeah, I might stick around for a drink. Feel free to come and chat to me about the state of laughter in St Andrews, which is apparently quite variable. But then, thank you and good night.